Okay, hi everyone. More officially, I see some more people joined. So my name is Grace Liu. I was the 2022 Global Youth Challenge winner. And so today I just want to share a bit about my experience and share some tips because I'm sure that's what you guys want to hear, how I approached this competition and what I think made my submission stand out and helped me win. So let us begin. I know we just had a little gauge for how we're feeling. We're feeling a little tired. That's okay. Um, let's get to know each other. So if you guys can type in the chat what your name is, your grade, and if you're comfortable, where you're from, which country, and why you were interested in the Global Youth Challenge, because this is kind of a mini warm-up exercise. It's really important to know what your reason is for participating in this challenge so that if you know your motivation and your why for doing it, then it can help you later on when you are designing your submission, whether it's your essay, your artwork, overall just why you're interested in the Global Youth Challenge can inform how you can bring your perspective into it. And if you want to unmute yourself, raise your hand, feel free to do that. Since I think we're waiting for people to type in the chat. Ooh, okay, so first person, Kaidi, grade 8, and my mom just told me to join. That's pretty, I mean, at least you're honest about it. Second person, Joshua, grade 11, and I wanted to join GYC because I find the competition fun. I like that. So I was going to say, my name is Grace, like you guys know. I am in grade 10, and I was interested in GYC, which I'll talk about a little bit more later because I saw it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, because it was like stepping out of my comfort zone. And I saw the topic and I was really interested in the topic. And I felt that I had a certain perspective to approach the topic. And I really wanted to just share my perspective, have a platform to share it, and get to know the GYC participants. So, Silvana, grade 10. I think the competition is a group opportunity. Yeah, we're very similar. Gabriella, oh, you're in your father's account. I completely understand. I've done that a lot too with my mom and my dad. I'm in ninth grade and I'm interested in this because I'm really shy and want to lose that a bit. Also because my dad signed me up in this. Um, that is a really good thing because, and I'll talk more about it too later, how the GYC experience kind of changed my skills and, like I just said, got me to um, step out of my comfort zone. So, okie dokie. In the interest of time, I'm going to move on. Um, so, introduction. What is the Global Youth Challenge competition? Just to give an overview and refresher in case you guys don't remember. So, this year's topic is AI and the future of our world, and it's an essay and speech competition. So, here we go. The requirements is for you to do public speaking, essay writing, or a creative project on the topic of AI and how it will impact our world. And you can see here, these are the requirements for your essay. It's 300 to 500 words, pretty short, plus a 3 to 4 minute video speech or a visual artwork instead of the essay. And then this requirement just shows you, maybe I can turn on like a laser point so that can see where I'm pointing to. Mm, maybe not. Okay. Um, so this third paragraph here basically Each entry will explore the potential benefits as well as the possible harms and threats that AI could pose to our world from diverse perspectives. And I really want you to remember from diverse perspectives because we'll talk about that later. Alrighty, so tip number one for the day is that it's really crucial it's really crucial that you go through the judging criteria, and we're going to spend some time going over the judging criteria right now because if you are not familiar and if you don't know the judging criteria well, then there's almost no way that you can perform well because if and it makes sense, right? If you know how they will judge you, if you know how you're going to be graded, and then you just do according to what they want, then you will surely do well. So my tip is also for you to pretend to be a judge, take the perspective of a judge, or if you're uncomfortable with doing that, ask someone who you trust to be a judge and to literally criticize you harshly. I asked my mom and my dad to be a judge for me, and they gave me a lot of great tips when they looked at the judging criteria. They understood it. And then they looked at my project and they were like, okay, this aspect you don't do good enough at, or this aspect you should do better. And then I revised it based on their feedback. So it's really about getting feedback either from you reflecting with yourself or from a teacher, family member, or a friend. Okay, so the judging criteria here, first is it doesn't have like a point value system, but you can see that they value all of these, GYC values all of these areas. So first is originality. Now, this I would say is really, really, really important because if your idea is really unique, really original, and your perspective, you take a different perspective on the issue than everyone else, then it can really make your project stand out, especially when you're giving the presentation, which I'll go over a bit later on. The second is how interesting, clear, and captivating is the presentation. So this is directly just like asking you about the presentation, but I also think that the communication part also applies to the essay or the art stage where the primary round where you submit the essay or the artwork. Because if your essay and artwork isn't interesting, clear, and captivating, then you won't be able to move on to the finalist round. So the way that you can make your essay or artwork more interesting and clear and captivating is tying back to the first point, making sure your work is original. That makes it interesting. And when you write, you have to be clear. You can literally you can download like a grammar checker to make sure that your essay is clear. Or if you're doing an artwork, you can make sure that you have some solid symbols or themes that makes your main idea really pop out. Don't make it and have like a central main idea. You don't want to try and explore the topic from like 5 different points of views because you have a very limited either word space or if you have an artwork, you just have that one artwork. So if you try to cover too much, then you won't have really an original or interesting idea because then it'll kind of seem like you're just summarizing the overview of the topic. So what you really want to do is focus on one key perspective or one key point about AI and then just go home with that and really dive in deep with that. And then that'll make your idea really clear. It'll make it captivating and interesting. Okay, and by the way, if at any point anyone has any questions, you can feel free to send it in a chat or raise your hand, cut me off at any time. We have a lot of time today, so we can feel free to do that. Okay, the third one over here is accuracy. And this accuracy kind of ties into this sixth one over here, which is plagiarism, because, and these two, I would say, are more they're more for your people who are writing the essay and when you're presenting about your topic, what you're talking about, rather than the artwork, because artwork is more creative and you can't, I wouldn't say you would necessarily have like accuracy with art because it's can be interpreted in different ways. But for people who are submitting the essay, you really, really need to do your research and you need to make sure that you have dependable sources. So these sources could be, for example, journal articles from well-established organizations. Like if you see this organization is if you click their about page and then it's an organization that has been working on AI for like 10 years and they have a lot of experts doing the research, then you can use one of their articles and that's a dependable source. Basically, you don't want to, for example, just like go on Instagram and then search up like AI fun facts and then just click the first statistic that you see. Um, Unless if it's from a really big nonprofit, like for example, the United Nations or its affiliated organizations, or if it's from like a government website, those are also really dependable sources of information. And that leads me to the plagiarism point, which is you can't just copy and paste from an article or something like that. Nowadays, since technology is so advanced, we have ways of checking plagiarism. So and also it's not beneficial for you to just copy and paste and then not put in the thought into it. If you really take in the information, digest it, that's and then try and write it out in your own words, the way you interpret it, that's the whole research process, and it kind of helps you understand the topic better. And that'll help you later on in the presentation and when if you're selected for the finalist round, your presentation and your Q&A. Since the Q&A is like on the spot, you need to know what you're talking about. If you just plagiarize your entire thing, I doubt you'll get to the final round, but if you manage to get to the final round and you plagiarize the whole thing, you wouldn't know what you're talking about, and then it'll be very obvious when the judges listen to your responses to their questions. Okay, the last 2 points, presentation and speaking. Presentation, this says, is there something about the presentation that can make it stand out? I'll share a tip later about how I tried to make my presentation stand out, but it also ties in with originality. All of these 6 points are kind of tied in together. Speaking is vocabulary level, clarity, how it supports the essay or art piece. So in your speaking video, which you can also make it stand out and then make it accurate, you definitely want to practice your public speaking skills. And I would even recommend having like if you're not comfortable with speaking on the spot and coming up with things on the spot, I would recommend writing a script for yourself, familiarizing yourself with that script, and then recording yourself with the video so that you can have good vocabulary, you can be clear, and you can make sure that you don't just go off topic and your video actually coincides and supports your essay or art piece. Okay, I know that was a lot of talking, so does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I will keep on going. Okay.
So there one question there.
Oh, okay, I see the chat. Do
So
you
do you
have
have any tip for working on a thesis?
That is a really good question. And okay, let me go back. Oops. Go back to the previous slide. So like I mentioned before, with the clarity and interesting, you want to make sure that your thesis, it has a clear, like one central main idea. What are you trying to argue? So going back to the challenge topic is very broad, AI and the future of our world. So you can really look at it from so many different perspectives. Um, I would say that in your thesis, for it to be a good thesis, you want to be almost like making an argument. So you don't want to just be saying AI is, this is an example of a bad thesis, by the way. You don't want to say, you don't want your thesis to be AI is good for our world because of this, but also it's not good for our world. So I would say you really have to kind of pretend that you're a lawyer, pretend that you're a lawyer and you have to take a certain side. Um, of course, in for it to be a complex and well thought out argument, you want to address the other side. But overall, your thesis should be either like supporting something or not supporting, and you need to prove that. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. Thank you. Alrighty. So now that we have an overview, the judging criteria, I know I really talked a lot about the judging criteria, but it's so important to know, and it helps inform how you can approach this. So now on to my example of my winning presentation, which has a whole bunch more of tips written out. And I can send this slideshow to you all later in the chat. So my essay was also on a similar topic, AI and the impact that it'll have on humanity. So my tip number two is, like I mentioned before, have a unique original idea in view. For me, I took a gender perspective on AI, which no one else did. And I think that really helped made my project stand out because my topic was so new and it wasn't what the judges had heard before. So basically my topic was what are the basically negative impacts of AI on women because of gender bias, gender discrimination that it can bring. And so my argument was really clear cut, like how AI can be potentially harmful to this group of people. And you could even take a similar approach in your thesis. You could say, how does AI benefit a certain group, or how does it harm a certain group? And this could be a minority group. So my third tip is that your submission needs to view and suggest creative solutions to current issues and problems. That kind of ties in with the second tip. If you want to frame it by focusing on how AI impacts a specific group, first of all, that narrows down your focus and makes it definitely more clear. And second of all, you can really take that and go into detail about how it affects a certain part of society and why your viewpoint is so important. That is something that is really key. You want to not only have a certain perspective, but you also want to tell them, tell the judges, tell the audience why you're taking this perspective. You can't just say, I couldn't just say, AI affects women badly, and then go on to say how it affects women badly. I also had to emphasize, why it harms them and how it does so and why it is so impactful. This is especially in your introduction, you want to highlight that, so that it also helps captivate them, make it interesting. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, this is an important issue that I should really think about. And that helps make your submission stand out. Okay, this is just we're not going to read through my entire essay, but as you can see, my title was A Framework to Measure the Gender Perspective of AI. So I not only take the argument that AI can have a negative effect on women and can have the risk of gender bias, but I also propose a solution to the problem, and that makes it really interesting. Going back to, the third point, what is your solution to the problem. You spend maybe like half the essay talking about how bad this problem is. You have to get all the statistics and do your research on how this issue is so important. Like you should basically be arguing like this is the issue that we need to care about right now, and then what are the possible solutions to this? And if you see here, my proposed solution is it's also based on research. I didn't just like come up with it myself. I'm not telling you to like solve this huge issue. I think it's just a good way to um, add some detail into your submission and make sure that you really consider um that your submission is really good would be if you propose a solution that is well researched, well thought out, and just shows that you care so much about this issue. You're not just saying like, here's a problem, now go figure out what we're gonna do with it. You're also, it shows the judges that you're also thinking about how we can solve this problem, and that just adds some more depth. And over here on my slide, I just show that you should definitely have a hook because this is, especially in your video presentation, having a hook versus not having a hook can make a really big difference. So even with your essay, I mean, I'm sure that the judges have to review so many essays. So for your essay to stand out, you want to have like a one sentence or two sentences maximum, like hook that really catches people's eyes. And then as you can see here, I use a lot of references to show that I really did the research and that what I say is based on credible sources. Okay, I'm going to pause right here. And does anyone have any questions before we watch a segment of my winning, it shouldn't say video, it's my winning presentation? If not, to keep you guys engaged, if you guys could take out, I don't know, like a notepad or maybe on your computer or phone right now, just take notes, write down any questions that you have when you're watching my video, and write down what you think I did good on, like referring back to the judging criteria, what you think I did that shows that I followed the judging criteria. And then definitely if you think that there's any things that I did that I could have done better on, also feel free to write it down because I'm definitely not perfect. And when I was filming this, I mean, this was like 2 years ago. My like speaking skills were at a certain level. I think they've improved since then. So you could definitely share about that. Please have close. Oh, yes. I don't, let me see if I can captions, show captions, save. Okay. I turned on closed captions and I'll turn it on for the video too. We'll only watch like the first bit of it since it has my like hook and how I introduce myself.
Can you imagine robots judging you, your mother, or your sister's performance?
Okay. Can you all hear that video? I hope before I go on. Yes? Okay. Go back a little bit.
Imagine robots judging you, your mother, or your sister's performance and having a bias against them? What about an online chatbot being sexist? The linkage between these two scenarios is they're both connected to gender-biased AI. Thank you so much to the committee, judges, and all finalists for your amazing effort to make this happen. I'm Grace Chenxin Liu from New York. My topic is understanding the impact of AI through the gender-digital divide and its indicators. From assisted online shopping to Face ID and much more, AI has been transforming our lives dramatically. Gender-biased AI not only has immense impacts on us, but also can contribute to setbacks in gender equality. After reading through hundreds of existing pieces of literature, I found a lack of research into this issue. I argue that examining AI's impact from the gender perspective should be one of the most important AI studies. I'd like to elaborate on 3 points: why, how, and what. First, why is this important? Research indicates that gender bias is generally found in AI datasets. Algorithms and devices can spread and worsen harmful gender stereotypes. This risks further marginalizing females in all economic, political, and social fields. Second, how could this happen? Though it sounds like AI machines have a mind of their own, data for training AI represents our behaviors as humans, so it reflects exactly this. In many cases, AI applications that we use are propagating gender norms. Third, what can be done? My proposal is to review the current status and impacts in assessing the gender digital divide. This will help design a series of measurable AI-related gender indicators as a way of evaluating positive and negative AI impacts. I'd like to mention that since 2020.
Okay, since we wanted to just watch a clip together, that's pretty much you understand the gist of what my presentation was like. And since I believe you all are in the stage of submitting the preliminary stage of submitting your video and essay or artwork. This is from the live presentation when they were evaluating the finalists. So it wasn't like my recorded video that I submitted to GYC. But you can kind of take some tips from that. And let me see. Okay. So first of all, I want to ask you guys what notes you took, what you noticed that I did that really aligns with what I just talked about for the past, I don't even know, half an hour. And what exactly, I guess, what strategies I used to make my presentation clear, captivating, and interesting for the judges. So if you could raise your hand, send it in the chat, feel free. And of course, it doesn't have to be feel free to criticize my performance too, because I think if um I think every year your skills kind of get better, and looking back, I cringe a little bit at looking at my video. I mean, it's so weird to look at yourself talk, I think, or listen to yourself talk. So um I can definitely share some tips about how you can go even above and beyond and make your performance even better. But also pick out some things that I think I did that kind of made my submission more interesting. And we can also come back to this video later on if we have time, so that I guess I can show you guys how I answered my questions. But that's kind of an optional segment because I can mainly talk about, since everyone's topic will be different, I'll just say that when you're preparing for your presentation, if once you're selected as a finalist, it would be really helpful to really practice and prepare. That's so, so important, practicing and preparing. Okay, if no one has anything, I'll say what I want to point out. So when I was Uh, I'll be straight up. I wrote a presentation script because I was not really comfortable yet with just like going up, giving a presentation and not having like at least some talking points. So I definitely recommend either having talking points if like bullet points if that makes it easier for you, or having like a written out script that so you know exactly what you want to say and what information you want to cover. So, as you saw in the beginning, started off with a hook that is immediately like I tried to grab their attention, and then you probably saw that I was really, really emphasizing this is the most important issue, and this is why you should care so much. And in the beginning too, I even connected it to make it more almost like personal, to make it so that, the judges, like people who sure you have women around you, and then this is how it could negatively affect them. So this is why it's also important for you. So really establishing the connection between why the way that you view your topic, um, establish, establishing the connection between that and your judges. So really get your judges to connect and relate to your topic, I think is also really important. Um, and then you probably saw that I took out like three pieces of paper, the why, how, and the what. Um, that was something that I thought of because um, when you're doing your presentation, it was just something that I wanted to add to further make my presentation stand out and unique. I don't know if you can do the same strategy, but because I've already done it before, so but it's just similarly, you want to think of ways that you can make your presentation stand out because when the judges are reviewing the videos, they're going to be watching like so many videos in a row. And then if you don't have anything that makes them be able to remember you, whether it's your topic or the way you spoke or the way you presented it, me adding the little cards, that was something that made my made my presentation stand out even more. So I think that's just something to note that you want to think of like little strategies to make yourself stand out. And now on to the constructive criticism. I think I definitely could have done a better hook, and I think that the way that my like body language, it wasn't really like a comfortable body language. So when you're presenting, or when you're practicing, do it in front of a mirror or ask your maybe like family or friends. But I mean, family oftentimes can be really helpful because they are like very brutally honest. I remember asking my younger sister, I think, for advice or just like her feedback, and then she was straight up, she was like, this is not good, and then this is good, and so on. So practicing in front of a mirror is really important because now that I play it back, I feel like I was really like stuck in a little space and it didn't look as good. So moving on to the next slide. Oopsie. Okay. Here are just a bunch of tips that kind of summarize what I've been saying so far. Tip number 4, do your research. And I didn't mention before, but definitely watch the previous winning videos. I think I watched almost all, if not all, of the previous winning videos, since GYC has that on their website, I believe, as like an archive. They have the previous winners, and watching it is so, so helpful to see what the judges typically like. And although they cover so many different topics, but it's just the style in which people present and how they speak can be really helpful for you. You could go through, watch my entire video if you would like. Um, but I definitely watched and rewatched some of the winning videos when I was preparing for this. And doing your research also covers, like I mentioned before, when you're doing your essay, make sure that you have a bunch of sources to show that you really read a lot and you become like a mini expert on this topic. Tip number 5 is practice, practice, and practice some more. I cannot emphasize how much you should practice. I probably, especially for the presentation or the video recording, you don't want you, I know it takes less time and it's easier if you just put up like a phone or camera, whatever, and then you just start recording and first try, and then you just submit that. But oftentimes, I mean, even my first recordings are typically really, really bad. And there's so much that I either make a mistake on or just don't feel that I did well. So first recordings are usually warm up. I think when I was recording, I probably did the video recording at least like 5 times, and that was like after I had familiarized myself with the script. So you definitely, since you have the option of recording a video, you want to practice beforehand and you want to do a lot of takes and pick out the best one. Since if you want to present your best self, then you want to, you know, choose the best version of yourself. And similarly with the live presentation, I practiced so much beforehand. And I'm sure all of the finalists did too, but it's just really helpful for to ease your mind a bit too, I feel like, since if you just practice, let's say, 2 times, and then you go into the competition, for like me personally, I would feel pretty unconfident in myself if I'm not familiar with my stuff. Because the more times you practice, the more easily it flows, and the the better you'll perform. Like there's just no other way to do it. I feel like you just have to practice as many times as you can. Um, like I mentioned before, in front of mirrors or in front of friends, family members. Tip number 6, this is also more for the video or presentation part. Show your enthusiasm. You don't want to just be talking like this the whole time and saying like in this tone. Like that is, if you're speaking monotone and super slow or super fast the whole time, like you you probably wouldn't want to listen to that, right? So think of it as, pretend that you're a famous, I don't know, like YouTuber or a celebrity, and you want to present your best self. You want to show how much you love this, and you can do that with like you can probably see I'm doing a lot of arm motions. That comes with practice, and you can look up videos online on how to do better public speaking. So I write here, oftentimes judges might remember more of the overall feelings you gave them rather than specific details. And I think that's definitely true. If the overall feeling is that you don't want to be here, or you just kind of like don't care about this topic, then it won't leave a good like taste in the judges' mouths. Whereas, let's say, like for me, I think I was showing like how much I cared about this issue. I was, whether it was the way I spoke, I really emphasized the points that I think were really important. And I sounded like I was upset when I was talking about the parts that were upsetting. So it's these types of things that you want to consider when filming your video, because when judges are watching the video, no one's gonna remember every single little thing that you say, but what they will remember is the general feelings, generally how well researched are they, how confident are they when talking about this, and how much do they care about this issue. That's kind of the lasting impression that you give, rather than like every single sentence and how your every single little word choice. Like, of course, the devil's in the details, and all you can't just like you can't just speak badly or speak nonsense the whole time. But it's definitely like don't sweat the tiny stuff, and you want to make sure that the overall feeling that you're giving is that you are professional and you care about this issue. Okay, tip number 7 is, again, do your research. I don't know why I've said the same thing for tip number 4 and 7, but tip number 4 is more of just like do your research on how previous people did it. And then tip number 7 is more, like I mentioned before, like use a lot of references, even if you're submitting an artwork. And tip number 8 is prepare for possible questions that the judges may ask you beforehand. Once you're selected as a finalist and you present live, I remember making like a long document with a list of every single possible question that they could say, especially focusing on, you really have to like think about this because you have to take the perspective of the judge. And you can ask like a family friend or a family member or friend to help you with this, like what questions they would have. Um, and you want to prepare, like at least have like some bullet points of what you would say if you had that question. So I know that the judges, like they have a limited number of questions that they can ask you, but and typically those questions won't they probably won't be super hard, especially if you prepare and you really think of like what's the worst possible question that they can ask me, and then think about a response. That's typically like a really hard part. So for me, I feel that once I prepared this, when they asked me the question, I was like, oh, I definitely know an answer to this. And this isn't one of the, oh my God, these are like really hard questions. Like they asked me like relatively nice questions, I would say. So um that's yeah, my 8th tip. And then all right, I'm going to summarize everything, give my final thoughts, and then leave some time for Q&A. And then if we want to go back to watch my full video, we also can do that. So throughout this competition, I was reflecting on this experience when I was preparing this slideshow, and I feel that this competition really, like I mentioned before, made me step out of my comfort zone, and I enhanced a lot of my research, communication, and presentation skills because I had to really learn how to hone in on a topic and present about it clearly. And this eventually would help me to start my nonprofit, Research to Empower, and write a full-length book on which actually published really recently. It's titled Research to Empower, as you can see here. It's like my baby. I love this project so much. But all of these skills, like you guys, by participating in this competition and trying your best, you're already like miles ahead of so many people because you are consciously working on your skills, and these skills are so important, and they're things that people can't take away from you. So I just wanted to kind of end my presentation on how even if you don't win the competition, you still tried and you learned so much from it. You gain experience that no one can take away from you, and I think that's often what's most valuable. Like my mindset going into I was really happy that I got into the finalist round, but I was also like, this is a global competition. I doubt that I can get like top 3. I was like genuinely so surprised that I won first place because I was like, this is crazy. I was just thinking that, I, as long as I try my best and I put in my best effort, I know that I learned a lot from it, and that is what meant most to me. At the end of the day, it's not about like what ranking you get, whether or not you're selected as a finalist, but it's about whether or not you put in the effort throughout this experience, and because learning how to, I know I gave a lot of tips today, but if you can really like just pick and choose like some of the tips to focus on, especially the judging criteria, then I think you'll do really well. And a lot of these things are really hard. I'm not an perfect in all of these areas. So it's really a learning experience, and that's what's really valuable. So on that note, does anyone have any questions? And if you want specific advice, you could on your specific topic, I would love to also like give specific tips that might be more helpful to your topic in particular. Okay, I see Noah says, I want to ask about some tips for the video in the first round. Are there any special requirements, like do the contestants have to show their faces or not? Thank you for that question. So I know I like kind of scattered my tips throughout the presentation. And definitely just to summarize, that's a good question so that I can summarize my tips. So the video, you want to have, first of all, I would say like just a normal phone camera is good. You don't have to get fancy equipment for it. But you do want to make sure that your camera is stable. You might like want to put it on a bookshelf or whatever, however you want to do it. And when I was filming my video, I wrote myself a script beforehand. I familiarized myself with it, and then I talked. And my tips from before is to really practice and practice and practice, especially doing it in front of a mirror where you can see your like whole upper body, is really, really helpful. And doing it in front of people who will give you honest criticism, like your mom or your dad or your sibling, especially your sibling. Like I feel like they would be more than happy to have an opportunity to like yell at you for for doing something. So really find someone who can give you honest advice, and make sure to like tell them what the judging criteria is beforehand, and then giving your video, that can be really helpful. And I also mentioned before that you want to have a hook in your video, makes people want to, something that establishes why they should continue to listen and why your topic is so important. So that's for the video. Um, you want to probably do a lot of takes and choose the best version. I mentioned before that I think I filmed it like at least 5 times or maybe even more. And you probably want to do some basic editing too. You don't have to do something too fancy, but I remember with my video, I had like little motion graphics, just like a picture here or like a sticker here. I don't know. You could also like make a board or some kind of presentation. I do recommend that you should show your face. It shouldn't just be a presentation the whole time and then you can't see your face, because it if you don't show your face, then from the judge's perspective, they don't know whether or not it actually is you giving the video. And it might even, I would say it would guarantee them to not choose your application, your submission, because it just seems like you're covering your face, or you're not showing your face. I know it can be uncomfortable to show your face on camera for so long, and film yourself, but it's really getting used to it that is a very valuable skill. And showing your face, showing your emotions, and showing that you care about this topic and that you're not just like a robot reading a script, that is really, really important. So yeah, definitely show your face. I would even like have, if you want to have like insert little video clips or like images and that takes up the whole screen, I think that's okay. But for like most of the time, like 90% of the time, you want to have the camera on your face and then you're just talking, because that's more natural. Hopefully that answers your question. Yes, I do mean the 3 to 4 videos, 3 to 4 minute, the 3 to 4 minute video speech. I can't talk today. Yeah, because the video speech in the first round is you can do like a lot of editing with it, but primarily you want to just sit there or stand there and just talk to the camera. Since I know they're not expecting like professional level video editing. It's just home production, you talking to a camera, insert some images or whatever if you'd like to help illustrate your point. And yeah. Okay.
Could I ask
Yeah.
what what criteria would the judges use to says that you have high score or not?
Could you repeat your question? I'm not sure if I understand it.
Like what are the thing that the judge would look at your presentation to value your point?
Good question. Okay, let me go back to the previous slide. So there is a judging criteria. I will send this slide, by the way, into the chat at the very end, so that you can have all these tips. I went over the judging criteria and how it's really, really important. Since I spent so much time going over it in the beginning, you might want to either rewatch this like meeting recording or just go over it on your own time. But yeah, there is a judging criteria. All 6 points are really, really important.
Sorry, I have question.
Yeah, because
I have a question.
Yes.
I am a new person. I am grade 6, and what is your project talking about?
What is my
Yes,
tip for talking about
your project now? What's talking about?
I'm not, is it that what are my tips for talking about the topic?
Okay. Grace, I can answer the question because this morning there are some non-registered participant. That means they are invited to the section, but they didn't really know exactly what the topic today is about. So this is the master workshop for students and young people around the world who participate in the Global Youth Challenge, a speech competition. Okay, so if you want to participate in the Global Youth Challenge, you have to register, um, fill out your name and your address and your school that you are going to. Then you will receive the information from the Global Youth Challenge to participate. So in the competition, you have to submit an essay and a video speech about the topic of AI, the artificial intelligence, and its influence, its impact, on the world. So the topic is about AI and the future of the world. So if you are between 13 and 18 years of age, you can participate. So you said you are in grade 6, so today you can join us, but you wait until when you are in grade 7, and then you can participate. But today, Grace Liu talk about her experiences as the winner, the first place winner in the Global Youth Challenge 2022, the same topic, AI and the future of humankind. Okay, and she also shared a lot of tips that she used to make her essay and make her presentation successful and to be selected to the top 16 finalists. And finally, she was the champion of the Global Youth Challenge 2022. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
This meeting can have I practice for my speaking?
For sure. For sure. So even though you are not really participating in the competition, but you can learn from other people. You can also go to the website of the Global Youth Challenge at www.theglobalyouth.org, and you can also search for the Global Youth Challenge YouTube channel, and you watch all the videos, all the experiences that is shared by the previous people. Okay, and you learn from other people. Some participants in the past were very young, like 11 years old, 13 years old, but they did a really good job. So the experience here is that, no matter you join the competition or not, you can also learn from other contestants, the way that they present their topic, and the way that they speak in front of the camera and the language that they use. Okay, Valeria.
Okay.
Valeria, you have a
Hi,
question? Yeah.
hi. I have a question. In the video, exactly what needs to be explained about our life or about artificial intelligence?
Yes, so that is a really good question. Thank you for asking it. Basically, your video, it needs to basically kind of be like another way of presenting your essay topic. So everything that you submit is connected. And I know someone mentioned before, like, what should you submit? It's either, so the first component is the essay or the artwork. You can choose one of the two. So let's say that you wrote an essay, like I did. I wrote an essay, and then I had a argument that I wanted to make about um, AI. And then in the video, I basically just presented the same argument in a different way. And I added some images, I added some statistics, I made it in a more engaging way because you're not just reading your essay in the video, you're also changing it so that you're giving a presentation. Because when you're writing the essay, you can write long paragraphs and like reference a lot of people. Whereas with the video, you're maybe like giving one or two statistics from another source, and then you're really just like talking about the topic, and what about your topic is unique. So what you came up with. It's not really about, I guess, your life. You can talk about your work outside of GYC and whatever that relates to the topic. Like, for example, I mentioned, I believe, in my presentation and my video about how I founded a nonprofit and how it related to the topic. So that can actually be a nice touch if you can connect your work outside to the video, and that's where you want to mention it because um, it just shows how it just makes it very well-rounded. You have not only a problem, you have your proposed solution, and you have the work that you are currently doing to move towards that solution. So it just is a really nice, well-rounded package that you are kind of presenting. Does that answer
Um,
your question?
could I ask, is there a ideal length to that?
To
Like,
the video and the essay?
yeah, is there a ideal length for the presentation?
Yes. So here you can see the requirements, which is 300 to 500 words for the essay, and then a 3 to 4 minute video.
Wait me a second, please. Wait, could you didn't change that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so collegial. I can see from the screen that you have three people are watching live. So can you Can you have your question, please?
Okay, so my question is that you recommend us to focus just on one aspect of AI impact? I mean, on medicine or education or job or in all aspects?
In general.
In general.
In general, or we have
to focus just on one.
I saw your question in the chat and I wanted to get to it because it's a really, really good question. I personally, I recommend for you to focus on one because if you try to cover everything, if you try to talk about education and medicine and if you want to try and cover everything, then it would make your essay really too general and almost like a summary, and you don't want that. You want your essay to be super focused, just one aspect of AI or just one way that AI harms or benefits a certain group. For me, I didn't talk about AI's potential harms and benefits on everything, right? I didn't talk about education and healthcare. I didn't go into detail about that. You can mention it briefly as examples, um, as like an introduction, but you really want to focus on one particular topic or one particular aspect that's really unique. For me, it was how does AI negatively harm women? How does it bring gender bias? Okay, so I didn't talk about like how AI affects the healthcare system because I would just it would be off topic. You see what I mean? You need to have your own unique perspective, and that is what would help you stand out.
Okay, we need to follow a special structure of essay. Essay.
A particular structure of the essay?
Yes, I mean,
or like, do we have to have like arguments or just like talk about a how can I say it, like in a specific way that shows what is AI and I have my structure and or point of view, or do we have to have an argument? Why is it good? Why is it bad? Something like that.
That's a really good question. Okay, so and you're talking about the essay, right? All right. So I actually put my essay here so you can kind of look at how I structured it, but basically it depends and it's of course applies to whatever topic you are looking at. So for me, I would say the general structure, I can actually type this in the chat. So the introduction, which includes a hook, introduction, which includes a hook, and then a general overview of slash summary of the topic and why it's so important. So important. That's your introduction, maybe like a paragraph or two. And then the second thing is going into your argument. So the body is the way that I structured it is kind of the problem and then proposed solution. You could do something similar, but it also depends on what your project is about. So what the problem is and how it is impactful on humans, what your proposed solution is, and then the conclusion, kind of just wrapping everything up, wrapping it up, and then what you maybe will foresee in the future, what direction we can progress in. So future direction of your field slash perspective. Okay, so I just sent that. You can copy and paste it
Could I ask for the last time, please? Like, what is the topic today, and when would it happen? Like wait, this is PEC? No, GEC. AI in the future?
That is
Yeah.
GYC, the Global Youth Challenge. And the deadline for registration is the February the 19th. Okay. And you will submit your essay and video. I think they're the deadline on the website. You can look at the website of the Global Youth Challenge, and you will see that they're the deadline for everything. And it's a little bit late for you, but anyway, you can try, registering, and then you will receive some information. I believe that the live final presentation will be on March 22nd and March 23rd. So we still have like 1 month and a half before the live final. But you need to submit your essay earlier.
Could I just use a presentation instead, and could you show me the link? It just somehow say, is that the Global Youth?
The Global Youth Challenge.
Yeah, the Global Youth .org.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Finish.
Okay. Collegial Center. You have any other questions?
Okay, the last is bit of the last is the last bit.
No, thank you.
Okay. So I may have like about a couple of minutes to explain about the essay. So if you submit the essay, first of all, you don't need to pick a very general topic. You cannot say AI in general, but you have to pick a very specific perspective that you can talk about. Like AI in education is still very general. You need to focus like on AI, or you can use like ChatGPT. That is the product of AI, ChatGPT, and is, consequences on the student mark or something like that, right? So pick a very, very specific topic to discuss, because you need to write only about 300 to 500 word essay. You cannot put everything in that essay. And the video speech is only 3 to 5 minutes maximum, and you cannot talk about everything related to AI. So you only need to focus on your selected topic. And of course, the judges do not really have time to read like 1,000 word essay and then 15 minutes video. Okay, and it's not fair for other participants if you talk a lot about everything. So I hope that it's very clear for you. And we have another person, Hiếu. Can you? Hiếu Lê.
Actually, I have two questions for you.
Okay.
First of all, can I use to create a picture instead of the essay? And the second question is, can I use a short video on the background instead of the GYC Global Youth Challenge in the background? Yeah, is that just required or not? Thank you. That's all.
So did you get it, Grace?
I think I think what you're asking about is the requirements. So it, like Anton just mentioned, a 300 to 500 word essay plus a 3 to 4 minute video speech. So you have to do the 3 to 4 video speech, the 3 to 4 minute video speech, but you can choose between writing an essay or making an artwork.
So a piece of artwork doesn't mean that you use a picture, right? You take a photo. That is not enough, because I don't think one picture talk about AI. But recently we have decided that participant can submit, like, a collage, right? It must be from your own photos. So you must be the photographer, and then you put your pictures into the story or into the big topic, like at least a collage including like 4 or 5 or 6, pictures, um, rather than just only one picture, because it's really difficult for the judging panel to verify that it's your picture or somebody picture, if yeah, it must be, maybe it is your drawing, that is your product with the signature and time and date, and then that's easier for us to verify. Okay, and that is only one part, one of the requirement for the submission. Beside the picture, beside the drawing, beside your piece of artwork, it's really important that you make a video speech. You are in front of the camera, and then you have to explain what your drawing is all about, and then what you want to talk to people. What do you want to convey to other people to make it clear. So, previous GYC competition, we found that some students also submitted drawing, the pictures, and also kind of animation. But the essay is really, really good too. Really good, because people will read it, and then they will see that you have very clear ideas rather than only one pictures. Like Grace also selected to write an essay. So that is her voice and then her research. Okay. Especially these days, with the development of AI, like ChatGPT or text to voice, voice to text, etc., it's really, really easy for people to to abuse the technology. So sometimes that is not original, and originality is one of the judging criteria. We have 6, right? We have 6 judging criteria. That originality, that must be your own product, okay? And accuracy, if you run an essay, presentation, speaking, and plagiarism. So we don't really expect somebody to submit an essay generated by AI, because a person who spent a lot of time doing research and writing the essay, now if you only ask AI or ChatGPT, they give you a really good essay within 3 seconds. And it is not fair, of course. And the judging panel are the people who are researchers, who are scientists, who are a professor at university. So they read it, they know that it AI generated or that it a human generated essay. Okay, so make sure that when you submit an essay or a piece of artwork, it must be original. It's your own product.
So yeah, I think it's true, because when I use and or create the artwork, I think maybe I will choose a ChatGPT or something like that to enhance my idea. So it's not fair, and that's why essay is created in the vast majority, right?
Not sure. I'm not really sure about it. Even an essay. Even an essay, these days, AI can help with everything. But again and again, many participants ask us whether they can use, AI, ChatGPT to help. So I always confirmed that you have to, to turn to AI or ChatGPT like an assistant. For example, your all ideas in an essay, but you can, instead of asking your friends or your father, your mother to brush up on, to polish the essay, you can use a little bit, but it must be your original ideas. In terms of the language, you can improve it, but that is only an essay. Remember, you may submit a really, really good essay, excellent vocabulary, but the video speech will tell the judges who you are, or that is your language or not. That's why we have to, request an essay or a piece of artwork and a video speech, because video speech will tell us as judges everything about the person, whether the person is capable of speaking in the public, or what kind of vocabulary, what level of English they are at. Okay, so we don't really know exactly what kind of support that you are using, before you submit your work, but we know that your original language or original idea are not through the essay or artwork and the video speech. Any other questions for? Okay, it seems there are.
Thank you for your response.
Okay, thank you. Jay? How are you sure no one is cheating with AI? Yes, a good, very, very good question. So, Grace, can you answer that question from Jay?
Well, I'm not sure exactly how the judges will verify, but I think in general, right now, AI, yeah, there are AI trackers that we can probably use. And there are very good softwares for detecting AI, but I'd say if we're just doing it manually, even when humans are reviewing your application and they read your essay and then they view your video, we can tell when it's written by AI. Like AI isn't advanced to the point where it like completely sounds like a human, I think. Because I think AI, it can be very subtle, but since university professors and like native speakers are reviewing it, you can tell whether it was AI generated or not by like observing. And if in your video you're not confident in what you're talking about, you are clearly like reading a script, then it's also a sign that you didn't do the work and it's just not a good idea. So you can tell when someone is um not 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 talking about their own work.
Yeah, but I think there was some kind of they use AI to track AI, right?
Yes, yeah. I do want to get to Colegio, your question, since I know we're running out of time.
Yes, we have three more questions.
No.
The first one is, for example, if I choose to do the artwork, which aspects about it will be evaluated? Like, what do I have to do to be sure it will be good, or yeah.
Yes, a very good question. I would say since this on the screen right now, go through the judging criteria again, since it really is just shows you exactly, it summarizes all of the tips that I said today, basically, where you really have to make sure every single point you are hitting the judging criteria, because this is exactly what they're looking for. And if you just follow the directions, then you will be able to be successful.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm not really sure about the topic. Do we have to talk about the impact of AI in the future or in the present, or what's going on with AI? Yeah.
That's a really good question. I would say that you can, it kind of depends on your topic. Since AI, a lot of things are uncertain right now. You can talk about the potential risks, and these risks, what it kind of is projecting into the future. However, since if we know that it is a risk, we know that it's already a present day issue. So let me make it more clear. Basically, it should be a issue right now, but you can talk about how in the future it might have a larger impact. Because right now, AI, it's still, there are many areas of the world where it's not really affecting it right now. So you could talk about in the future, like for example, my topic was gender bias, gender discrimination in AI. And it's starting to be an issue right now, but I was talking about how in the future, this will be a very serious issue. So it also depends on what topic you are talking about, because if you are talking about a specific part of AI in education, this is already an problem that is happening right now. So you could focus more on present day, what is happening right now. However, if you are focusing on how AI is affecting a certain group of people, how it will continue in the future to affect a certain group of people, then you might talk about the future impacts.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a third question. We need to use slides or images in our video speech. It is necessary.
It's not required. You can literally just talk to a camera, and if you're speaking well, then it's already good enough. But I would say that to make it more interesting, you can add an image. You don't have to use slides though. In fact, I think it wouldn't be good for you to use slides because then you won't be able to see your face in the video.
Just one image.
Yeah, maybe a couple images. Maybe you can be talking and then there will be like an image next to you just to show what you're talking about.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
And Duke, can you raise your question?
Okay, thank you. I want to ask for your suggestions on how to create the artwork because I don't have a artistic flair.
That's a good question. So I wrote an essay instead of creating the artwork. So if you feel that you don't have artistic, you're not very artistic, you can write an essay instead of doing the artwork.
Oh, so the artwork is not like the required, right? It is
Yes,
not required.
either essay or artwork. You choose one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the first requirement is the essay or a piece of artwork. Plus, the very important component is the video speech. Okay, so in the case of Grace, she selected the essay and the video speech. So you see this is a very interesting question because some people will read the essay in the video speech, and that is not good at all because the video speech is a better version of your essay because like within 300 and 500 words of an essay, you cannot really, clarify and explain enough for the reader to understand you. So in the video speech, you can also summarize the main points in your essay and you clarify using your voice. And then this one is really important because, people listen to you, people understand you through your presentation, the vocal presentation. So do not read the essay. If you write an essay, please do not read the essay, but try to speak, because that is speech video, that is not reading video.
Oh, thank you. That's what I am wondering.
Okay, just write an essay. If you are not good at drawing, just write an essay. Any other question? Because we are running out of time, and as usual, we will upload the recording on our YouTube channel, the Global Youth Challenge, and you can go there and watch again. We also sent the video link with the password for you in case you need to watch it again. In fact, so far we have had like 4 master workshops. The first one is about how to select a good topic. The second master class is about how to improve your presentation skill, including like body language and also facial expression. Grace did a really good job in her, presentation, because she practiced a lot, and then she looked very natural. If you watch her video again, it's from the website, you can see that. Yeah, Grace, you can show them again. So hand gestures and everything is perfect. So that contributed to her success in general. Okay, not only ideas, but also hand gesture, eye contact, and everything. So everything we uploaded on the website is very useful for you. Remember, look at the deadline for submission and look at the deadline for video speech and the requirements. Okay, so I hope that it's very useful for you today, and thank you, Grace, for joining us and giving your really useful insight. And anything else that you want to talk to the participants?
Yeah, I just wish you all the best of. I think we have one last question from Colegio.
Okay.
Yes, I have another question about the artwork. If I do the artwork, which topic or what should I talk about on the video speech? Like explaining why I did it and like, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. You basically explain what I would say, I think, explain what your artwork means, why you did it, and how it represents something that's very important to you, and basically how it's related to the topic. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All
So
right.
what? Yeah, you have another one, Grace?
No, I think if we don't have any more questions, then we can call it a day, because yeah.
Okay, so we can call it a day today, and good luck everybody, as well as good night and good morning from
And feel
different
free
part of the
to
world.
reach out to me. I put my contact information, the slides in the chat. You might have to maybe scroll up a little bit, but yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm very willing to, if you have any more specific questions, feel free to send me a message on, I don't know, Instagram or
Okay, so all of you can connect with Grace on her LinkedIn, on her email address, and also she had a book. So if you want to read the book and then just order it online or somewhere, okay. So her book is Research to Empower. It's really, really good for young people. And you want to know more about Grace? She's very popular now in the US. Okay, she's very, very popular now in the US, and she's your age. Grace is only 16 years of age at the moment.
I'm actually 15.
15. Okay, 15 to 16 years of age. You see, so Grace was the winner in 2022. So that means she was only 13 or 14, you know, in 2022. Okay, and we hope that more and more young people can do the same thing, right? Can learn from each other and then can make the world a better place. And you are the next generation of leaders of the world. Thank you for joining us and goodbye for now.
Goodbye and see you again.
Goodbye.